Mother-in-law in hotel room complaining to me that her husband is jealous of everyone. I never expected my mother-in-law and I to have such an unexpected encounter. During this business trip to Dallas, I had the opportunity to stay in a beautiful hotel, all expenses covered by the company. It turned out to be the same city where my mother-in-law Estella lived, with her new husband Charlie, who was a little younger than her. We decided to find and spend a nice evening in one of the local restaurants, enjoying good food, wine, and fascinating conversations about life. Estella was full of energy, and Charlie occasionally had to restrain her as the evening progressed. We enjoyed drinking the local wine, and around 11, we decided it was time to go home. I took a local taxi and headed to the hotel, feeling a little indisposed after meeting the local women. The wine was starting to take effect on me, but then the unexpected happened. The doorbell rang, and to my surprise, the doorman informed me that a lady named Estella was asking for me without hesitation. I told the doorman to let her in. Estella was a stunning woman, surprisingly similar to my wife Victoria. Despite the age difference, I knew my mother-in-law liked to chat, but I didn't understand why she had come to my hotel late at night and drunk. As I went up, I quickly grabbed a bottle of champagne from the minibar, trying to anticipate the reason for her visit, but I couldn't guess it. I wanted to have a drink, but I was afraid I wouldn't be able to have a normal conversation with her. So I decided to smoke, and then I went to brush my teeth. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. As the eye opened the door and saw a woman of extraordinary beauty standing in front of me. From her appearance, I could tell she was upset and had come for something serious, not the youthful fantasies I had imagined. It turned out she had had a fight with her husband Charlie and had come to me for distraction and consuelo. I let my drunken masculine imagination run wild, but since she was my mother-in-law, I thought we could have a glass of champagne. I offered her the drink, and she responded by calling her husband a fool, who was jealous of her with all men, including the taxi driver who drove them home. This reminded her of her first husband, who was also excessively jealous, which led to their breakup. She admitted to cheating a little, but he never found out. Now Charlie was just as jealous. He asked me why this was happening, and why men couldn't explain it in a masculine way. Dear mother-in-law, it's simple. You are an incredibly beautiful woman, and captivating. That's what drives men crazy. I told him after my words. Estella perked up her shoulders, straightened, and a blush appeared on her cheeks. Do you really think that way, son-in-law? He asked. Of course, mother-in-law. Since the first time I met you, I was enchanted by your beauty. I simply loved you, I answered with a smile. Leave us another drink, son-in-law. You have lifted my spirits. Now my soul wants to celebrate, she said. And we celebrated so much that everything ended with adult night races through the... We woke up in the same bed. Or rather, I woke up first, to the sound of my mother-in-law's phone. A little later, Estella woke up and looked at the phone. It was her husband, Charlie. She didn't answer, and I didn't know what to say in this awkward situation. But the mother-in-law, apparently experienced in these matters, took everything into her own hands, saying that nothing terrible happens. The main thing, son-in-law, is that you and no one will find out about our little mistake. And so it was somehow, I think the next time I meet my mother-in-law we will discuss this incident. I left Dallas. Shortly after that awkward morning with my mother-in-law Estella, we did not discuss what had happened. She only asked me to keep quiet about it. Our little stumble, as she called it. I was relieved to get out of there and hoped to put it all behind me. A few months after, my company sent me on another business trip to Dallas. I thought about asking to go to another city so as not to risk another meeting with Estella. But in the end, I had to suck it up and go, just in case. I booked a room in another hotel on the other side of town. The first few days of the meeting went by without a visit. Surprise, on the third night, I went back to the hotel bar after dinner. It was packed, but I immediately noticed Estella sitting on a stool in a tight red dress. My pulse quickened, and I wondered if I should run away before she saw me, but it was too late. She smiled flirtily and waved at me reluctantly. I joined her at the bar. Nice to meet you here, she said, clearly already a little affected. She handed me the key to her room. I'm in room 412. Why don't you have a drink with me? Before I could get there, she had already walked away, sure that I would follow her. My mind was telling me to avoid her room, but my body obviously had other ideas. The next moment I was already knocking on the door of 412, feeling a familiar emotion, when Estella greeted me in a silk bathrobe showing her long legs. I've missed you, son-in-law, she murmured, attracting myself to her. All my restraint disappeared when we fell together in bed. Thus began several months of romantic dates while driving through Dallas. Estella would text me, and I would invent some work obligation to go out and meet her at her house. The adventures were explosive. Obviously, this was not her first adventure of this type. From time to time, I was overcome with guilt for I betrayed my wife Victoria. But I told myself that it was just a physical affair, and that Victoria would never know about it. While we were in bed, Estella told me that she was going to leave Charlie. I want us to be together for real. She declared they will move to Dallas. I will divorce Charlie, and we will finally have the life that we both want. Her confession took me by surprise. Although everything was fine at night, I did not plan to leave my wife for Estella, but she persisted, alternating between crying and screaming when I told her no. I quickly got dressed and left. I blocked her number a week later. Victoria called me hysterical, sobbing because her mother had told her everything. Distressed, I confessed my affairs and apologized to Victoria after the screams and tears calmed down. She agreed to undergo psychotherapy before deciding divorce. In the first session, Victoria revealed that Estella had been sleeping with her daughter's sons-in-law and boyfriends for a long time. Apparently, she seduced him when she was drunk, and then chased them without mercy. This was not the first time she tried to ruin Victoria's relationships. Although this does not justify her actions, this context helped to repair the relationship with Victoria. After months of counseling, she forgave me, but her relationship with Estella is still tense. We moved to distance ourselves from the toxic influence of her mother. As for Estella, we found out that she left Charlie and found a much younger boy at her campester to hold on to. I just feel sorry for the poor boy, and I am grateful that I was able to escape.